Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. This is a reading for Aries sun signs, or if you have significant Aries placements in your chart and are needing a masculine energy to work with or balance within yourself, then this reading is for you. So Aries, I've pulled your cards, so let's get started. I feel like your energy feels a little bit like nervous, or there's a feeling of like needing to do something or to like shift your energy, but it kind of feels like you Aries are not necessarily seeing how to do that, or like how to make a shift perhaps, or something like that. And it's like I feel like there's something coming in for you that is going to help clear whatever that blockage is. Because I'm seeing your energy here as the Four of Coins and the Seven of Wands, right? So the Four of Coins is sort of like a difficult position, right? So it could have to do with abundance, but it doesn't have to be. It's just like can't quite get yourself out of a certain situation. But with the Seven of Wands here, this is sort of where like the nervousness is coming from, I think, because it kind of feels like something is arriving. With the Seven of Wands, I kind of see it as like the energy of like, because it's so bright, it actually blinds you for a moment. So it's kind of like where you are now is, let's say, metaphorically, the darkness, or just darker, right? It's heavier. Like you've been in a theater for a long time and then you go out and it's like blinding sun. And so it's kind of like that energy, because it's coming through with the King of Wands, right? It's like this arrival of new energy, something very bright, and perhaps has to do with like momentum and movement, like a burst of inspiration or creativity or something like that. It is arriving, and in anticipation of that, it's kind of like it's blinding you, or perhaps causing a little bit of anxiety, and it's coming through with the Ace of Pentacles. So I feel like for you, Aries, you've been perhaps looking for a way out or a new direction or something like that. And I feel like that is arriving. You have here the change of seasons, new directions, to the moon and back, and oh, sunny day. So these cards are kind of like to the moon and back. That one to me talks about like, there is sort of heavier moon energies, but it's kind of like waiting to see what the solution would be. It feels very optimistic though. It's kind of like you're optimistically looking for perhaps a way out of whatever situation you're in, but it's like it's not quite clear yet. I feel like it will be made clear soon, is kind of how this is feeling. And it feels like you are very much on like the threshold, right? This is you on the threshold of something perhaps really big, because you have the village and the ocean, where it's like I feel like there's a place that you're leaving some aspect behind, and going into the ocean, which is just representing a really big, vast, perhaps foreign landscape or something like that, right? It's like you're on the threshold of something really big. And what's coming in, like what this reading is wanting you to focus on, is this specific connection, which is really interesting, the bridge. There's a specific connection being made where you are. So that's the overall context of the reading, but we're going to go into the current energy. So the first card out was this dead end, right? The dead end. This feels like where you are. So it just kind of feels like stuckness, or like it's like kind of like you were on a path, but all of a sudden it's stopped, or it's blocked, like you're being prevented from moving forward this way. It kind of feels like it's for your benefit, right? It's for your benefit. Perhaps you're not quite seeing it like that, because it kind of feels like what led you down this path is coming through with this energy, right? It's the Home in the Sky and the Six of Wands. So I feel like it's something that you thought would be perhaps more successful than it was, is kind of how it's coming through with the Six of Wands. With a Home in the Sky, it talks to me about it's such a it's a really positive energy, like the thing that you were trying to manifest, perhaps, right? Like it's like belonging, freedom, adventure. It's all of that energy, right? It's just something really, perhaps that you wanted to be successful, like really bad, right? But then it sort of is now revealing itself to be a dead end of some sort. And it's like what it is actually, what it's sort of revealing itself to be is the keys on trees, right? So in comparison, if you would just compare these, right? It's like you want it to be like floating through the sky, for example, but it's kind of like instead of that, you're stuck in this tower is kind of how this is feeling. So this keys on trees energy is, it's that stuckness. It's the dead end, right? Like you went up this tower thinking that it would lead to this energy, but it kind of feels like it's not that with the Ten of Swords, right? Which is very difficult. And it kind of feels like for you, Aries, of course there's this sense of like disappointment, or just like perhaps you made an error in judgment or something like that. But it's kind of like what's coming in for you. This keys on trees was kind of giving the energy of in Lord of the Rings, Gandalf at the top of the tower, where it's kind of like perhaps you trusted somebody that betrayed you with the Ten of Swords, maybe. There's that kind of energy in it, which is not at all your fault or anything that you should blame yourself for or anything like that, right? It's like that's wanting to be cleared. It's not anything that was your fault. But it is kind of like, okay, now you need something to get you out of this situation, which I feel like is arriving. I feel like okay, so I feel like that's what these cards are talking about, right? Like the Eight of Cups and the Four of Cups. So this Four of Cups to me looks like almost like self-blame, right? Like blaming yourself or feeling disappointed about what happened. It's just feeling low, right? Feeling really low. But that's what you're sort of being encouraged to release and let go of, right? To walk away from that energy because it's not serving you. With the Six of Swords here, it's like your guides are wanting you to sort of soothe your mental state, right? Like how you think about the situation or how you're perceiving it. They want you to be more forgiving of yourself, of whatever the situation was, right? It's like you're moving forward. You're moving forward. It's wanting to reassure you that this is not as bad of a situation as perhaps you're feeling it to be, maybe. But the good news is that you have here the Mentor card, which I'm seeing as sort of like a friend or something like that. Like if you think of Lord of the Rings, right? Like the giant eagles that came in to swoop Gandalf off of the tower, right? It's feeling almost kind of like, I don't want to say as extreme as a rescue, right? Like it doesn't feel like a rescue per se, but it's more so kind of like, it was coming through with like the word assist, right? So if you think about like, it could be assistance, or it was coming through more so with like sports metaphor, like an assist, somebody who gives an assist, right? Like who passes you the ball or the puck so that you can score or whatever it is, right? So it kind of feels like they're just coming in to help you, or they're coming in to pass you the ball, or perhaps like with the keys on trees, it's almost like they're coming in to pass you the key, right? Give you the solution so that you can get out of this situation, is kind of how this is feeling. And it's like it might kind of be, while this energy is coming towards you, because it does feel kind of like a big energy, like that especially because it's like the King of Wands, right? Like very not forceful, but they carry a lot of force, maybe, or they have a lot of weight, or I don't know how else to describe that. It's just a very big energy that's coming in to assist you. And so it may feel kind of like with the Five of Wands, a bit of like, it may feel like just like a lot of energy. I don't know how else to describe this. This Five of Wands is really interesting, but it kind of also feels like putting your heads together for some reason. Because normally the Five of Wands talks about conflict, right? Like a lot of differing opinions, but it kind of feels like today, putting your heads together in order to solve the problem, right? It's like, because I feel like you're the one who's doing the actual solving of the problem. But it's like you're receiving assistance from perhaps a group, let's say. And there may be sort of this need for grounding, because the next card out you have here is the Listen card, which is talking about grounding. But I was also being reminded of this scene in the OA in season 2 where there's all of these sort of people who were assisting her, right, in other dimensions. And it was kind of like all of these flowers that were coming out of the head were representing like an infinite path, a garden of infinite paths. It could also be sort of like a map, like they're giving you a map or some sort of like way in which to free yourself from this dead end energy, whatever that is. So if we just go back to this card for a second, the Five of Wands, there's a lot of 5 energy in your reading today. So that talks about like a significant change or a shift, especially if there's been any sort of stagnancy. That is very swiftly changing. It's kind of how it's feeling. And also whenever there's a significant change happening for me personally, I always feel the energy of like 5 beings or spirits or energies or whatever, or guides perhaps around me that sort of help me move on to what, or like make the changes necessary in order to move to the next thing, right? So I feel like that's coming in for you as well. It could be a specific person, but it doesn't have to be. It could be very sort of spiritual assistance as well, is kind of how I'm going to leave this card. But then after that, like what it is that you're being, whatever's being cleared for you, right, with the dead end energy, it's revealing all of this really lovely energy, the eternal child, the ring, and the womb, which is so interesting. It's all of this very creational energy, right? It's kind of like perhaps like restarting your creation, or if it's not restarting, it's just like perhaps it's just a renewal, right? It kind of feels like it may not be that you have to necessarily start again entirely, but it's kind of just like it's clearing out whatever the ending is, the dead end energy, and it's allowing all of this bright, new, renewed energy to come in. Because the ring to me talks about like new commitments. The womb is all about sort of like creational beginnings as well, right? Like the beginning of creation, something like that. So you may be starting again. And the eternal child is also talking about like the joy, right? There's a it's reconnecting to joy is kind of how this is feeling. But with the womb and the eternal child here, I have to say that there may be this sort of energy here of perhaps a child on the way, maybe for one of you, but only take that if it resonates. If that's something that you've been trying to manifest, then that might be an indication of what this energy is trying to help you to achieve, is kind of how this is feeling. But anyways, only take that if it resonates. It's more so just generally talking about a new start in creation is kind of how this is feeling. Okay, and then here we have the Mermaid's Love, which is how I'm seeing the mentor energy, right? They're coming in to help support you, or perhaps just like lift you up, right? Give you the sort of the boost that you're needing in order to make this change or to start again or whatever it is that you're needing. In this case, like they're assisting you in it. And then these 3 cards are really interesting. So you have here the Star, the 9 of Cups, and the Queen of Swords. So the Star we'll come back to. It's just generally talking about hope, but yeah, I will come back to that. So the 9 of Cups I'm seeing as the mentor, the person who's giving the assist. And I'm seeing you as being the Queen of Swords. So this one is always kind of like encased in glass, right? Whatever that means. It's the stuckness energy. It's the dead end, right? There's no movement in this card. And how I'm seeing this 9 of Cups is almost like with all the singing bowls, right? It's like they're whatever it is that they're doing, right? Their vibration or whatever it is that they're giving to you or perhaps saying to you, it could even be just generally their energetic vibration, like their natural state perhaps, is breaking this sort of glass encasement open, right? It's breaking it open so that you can move or that you can make a decision or whatever it is. It's breaking you out of the stagnation. It's kind of how this is feeling. So maybe that they're saying something to you or they're just like, it kind of just feels like their general vibration of perhaps happiness and satisfaction, right? Because it kind of feels like they're in a really positive energy and they're sort of helping you to also be in that vibrational state. So they're helping you to break free of whatever this dead end is. And then you have here the White Rose of Hope, which is coming out with the Star, right? So it's kind of like there's all of this renewed hope is what this is talking about. This is this energy of like hope and new beginnings. I often see this card as almost being a little bit melancholy, but I feel like that's part of what's being like shifted or changed or renewed in this case with the Star. It's some sort of like wish fulfillment, perhaps. But there was this really interesting thing happening on her dress here where it's kind of like, there's almost like this, like, it kind of looks like an X-ray of bird bones, which is really interesting. There's like, it's almost like revealing whatever this renewed hope is. It's showing you that you have like bird bones, which to me is just talking about like the ability to fly, right? It's all of this, it's the home in the sky, right? It's showing you that your dream is possible. It's just perhaps you were led down the wrong path or something like that, and it's kind of like they're setting you on your path again. Is kind of how I'm seeing this. They're allowing you to get back on the correct path towards your goal. Is kind of how I'm feeling this, which is really lovely. So I feel like I'm going to end it there, Aries. We're going to move to the extended and talk about what else you may need to know about the situation. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description box below. If this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I will see you in the next one.